Some people rock and some people roll. Some will make you giggle right down to your soul. So talk to the world and introduce them to you. And look at me now, I'm all Barbara and you. You gotta take a step inside the shoes of another. Get to know your neighbor, get to know one another. So talk to the world and introduce them to you. And look at me now, I'm on Barbara and you.
Good evening and welcome to the Barbara and You Show. I'm Barbara Foster, but I hope you already knew that. And I'm excited to be speaking with the ladies from Habitat for Humanity. And many of you know and will recognize Carolyn Reed, who's the executive director and has been on my program umpteen times by now. Even I think you were on even before you were the executive director.
Yeah, when I was on the board.
Right. And a board member is Brianna Kelly. Hi, Brianna.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Nice to see you.
You as well.
And how long have you been on the board?
Very recently.
Oh,
Only been a few
okay.
months. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you helped select the board members, Carolyn, but you got a good one with
think
Brianna.
so, yeah.
I've known Brianna through real estate dealings because you're a
Yes.
mortgage person. So I know there's always a lot going on. So where are we going to start, Carolyn? What are we going to talk about first tonight?
Well, let's talk about our houses first. So we're building on Henry Street here in Fitchburg, and we're just finishing up the house for the Yang family. So it's a family of 9, and we should be done by the end of February. So we'll have a house dedication at the end of February. And we're very thankful Amica Insurance helped sponsor the house, and Workers Credit Union came out and helped. And then we have our partnership with Exit New Options and Exit Assurance Realty, and their ongoing donations really help us to keep building every month. So we're finishing up that house, which is very exciting. And then the next homes we'll be building are in Acton. We have a duplex that we're renovating. We have a property in Stowe we'll be building on, and then a wonderful gentleman from Leominster gifted us a piece of land at the end of 2017. So we'll be building a home in Leominster off Merriam Ave.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And when you said renovating one, was it Acton that you're renovating?
Yeah, in Acton, it's a really cool property. It's from 1910. It's a duplex, and it was originally built as factory worker housing. So it was historically affordable housing, and we'll be renovating it, and it will be affordable housing now forever.
But the renovating part is fairly new to Habitat. Didn't start out doing the renovations,
Right. It was mostly new builds, but here in New England, there's not a whole lot of land left, so we're doing some renovations. And then we also have the critical home repair program as well. And our goal with that program is to repair at least 12 homes a year, and just to maintain the affordable houses that are already in the region.
And Brianna, what made you accept when you were asked to be on the board?
You know, Habitat for Humanity does so much for our local community, and I think a lot of the things that do occur, you know, the critical home repair, and even you know, the house builds. People I don't think understand the amount of work that gets put into it, and how much we rely on our volunteers to be able to come and help us. And we really are very thankful for everything that they do. It's definitely a rewarding part to, you know, something to be a part of like that. So it was definitely, when I was approached, it was one of those, absolutely, that's what we're supposed to be doing, is giving back to our community.
And I'm glad you mentioned the volunteers, because basically that's who builds the houses.
Exactly. We have our full-time construction manager, Steve, and if you come as a group, you get this lovely shirt for helping to volunteer at the site.
You mentioned you were at the State House today. There was a Habitat event? Or?
Yeah, we had a hearing. So we have a bill, H2160, that we're hoping will pass. And if the bill does pass, it'll help us to build many more houses.
Okay, is it too complicated to explain?
It's an exemption from the SAFE Act. So the SAFE Act was designed to stop predatory lending. And our mortgages, the mortgages for our homes, are 0%. So we're looking for an exemption from that.
So when you go to important meetings in the State House, you usually wear a T-shirt?
Yeah, we're branded all over, yeah.
Hey, you gotta be proud, right?
That's right.
You gotta be
That's
proud
right.
of what you do. And you kind of started out as a board member, right?
Right.
And a volunteer.
I did, yes.
And,
Yep.
and probably never dreaming that someday you'd be the executive director.
Well, it was a nice dream to have.
That's right.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's Maggie used to say, the former executive director, you catch habititis. So the first
I like
time my
that.
youth group brought lunch to a site, and that was fun. And then I volunteered for Women Build, and that was such a fulfilling day to be at the end of the day and say, I built that wall and I put up that sheetrock. So that's how I got drawn in.
Do you ever have trouble finding it or having enough volunteers?
We do, because a lot of people, especially at this time of year, think we're outside and they'd have to be building outside. But luckily on Henry Street, all of the work now is inside. So we're finishing up painting and installing trim and putting up the cabinets. So we hope people will come out and know that we're not going to have them on the roof when it's snowing. They'll be inside.
And your building manager doles out appropriate tasks to
He
people
does,
of what
he does.
people are capable of doing.
Exactly. We start the day with a safety talk, and then he talks to people about what they're comfortable doing. And he'll teach anyone any skill. You don't have to come in knowing how to do it, but he makes sure that people are comfortable doing the different tasks.
I had for the build for when the North Central Real Estate had brought the group that was there. I actually brought my 16-year-old son and my husband. My husband is extremely handy. My 16-year-old, not so much. So Steve was very patient, explained everything to the whole crew that was there, and it was very nice. I mean, it was rewarding to actually put your hands on something and be able to say, like she was saying, I built that, I did this. And my son actually, it was a really good experience for him. I mean, he's 16 and same thing, trying to instill those values. But the volunteers, having to be able to do the rest of the work inside is definitely something that would love to have people come down.
But it is a very good family project too.
Yes.
It creates a bond with the family, and you all feel good about what you've done.
Yes.
Absolutely.
If somebody in our viewing audience is interested in volunteering, what do they do?
So we have a schedule up on our website, and our website is ncmhabitat.org. So they can go look at the schedule. We have hours to volunteer in the office, if that's what volunteers would like to do. You can volunteer on our build site, at a critical home repair site, or at our Restore in Leominster.
Yes, tell people about the Restore.
Oh, the Restore is such a fun place. So all kinds of families from the area donate goods, and it could be building materials, house materials, upholstered furniture, appliances to the Restore, and then anyone can go shop and buy these items at a discount. And all the money we raise helps us build houses.
And sometimes people with their own building projects will have something, they have too many of this or that.
Exactly.
And that's an ideal
Yeah, we
donation
get
to
great
make.
doors and windows and tiles.
And that's right here in Leominster.
It is, right on 117.
117, yes.
Yep.
And is there any fundraisers coming up?
We do. Right now we have an art auction going on. So this is a really cool one. It's called Home is Where the Art Is. So artists could sign up, and when they sign up, they would get a $25 gift certificate to the Restore to go buy anything and turn it into a piece of art. So it's all recycled art.
Oh.
And it's all being displayed right now at Six Bridges Gallery in Maynard, but you can see it online as well. So if you go to ncmhabitat.org, you can click on the button and go to the online auction piece of it and bid on any of the pieces. So we have really cool painted chairs and a shovel that was cut into these designs of a tree. It's just beautiful.
What an interesting idea. Where did that come from? The
Well, it
idea?
was a Habitat affiliate in the Midwest that I
Really?
borrowed it from. Yeah. They were happy to share.
I was just going to say, imitation's a serious form of flattery or something like that.
Yeah, they sent me all the promotion materials. Yeah.
No, it's really a cool idea because you've got people in the Restore to begin with.
Right.
And then they do something creative and other people are going to buy that. And
It was really cool. And the Dr. Franklin Perkins School in Lancaster, they had a group of students who also created art. They went to the Restore and then created art, and that's on display too. So you can see the creativity of the younger generation as well.
And that's all at your website.
Yes, yep.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. Brianna, what have you learned? You knew pretty much about Habitat. You had worked on a site before you got on the board, right?
Yep.
And have you had any real challenges or surprises since you've been on the board?
I wouldn't say any challenges. I think it was more of understanding how many different activities that we are involved in. I think that I only knew about the Habitat builds. I didn't know about the critical home repairs or and a lot of the other functions that we put on to be able to have to raise funds. Like we also have like the dueling pianos that are coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, I went last year. That was
Isn't it so much
fabulous.
fun?
Absolutely fabulous. When
Yeah.
is that going to be?
That's on April 6th.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
It's not that far
April
away.
6th at 7:30. I know, it's coming right up.
Make a note of that.
That's a very fun one.
Was it the Bull Run last
This year it'll be at the Devon's Common Center.
okay.
Yep, right off Route 2.
Okay.
Yep, so we'll have that there. And then we have our spring breakfast on May 9th.
Yep.
And this year we're celebrating our 30th year building houses in the region.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible?
Now, Habitat is much older than that.
Right, 40 years.
40
yes.
40 years,
Yeah,
but
so
in this-
different affiliates started at different times.
Right.
Yeah.
Just briefly give the beginning. Maggie knew the whole story from
Right, 'cause she had-
Millard, help me,
Millard Fuller.
Millard
Yes,
Fuller.
yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to mix that up. But just give people a little bit of the background and how and why it started.
Yeah, it is a great story.
It
so
is.
Millard was a very successful businessman, a lawyer, I believe. He'd made a lot of money and realized that it wasn't fulfilling to him. So he decided to give his money away, and he moved to Americus, Georgia, and was living on a communal farm, and they were working the farm. And he was seeing that it still wasn't equitable. Even though they were on a communal farm, he could see in the community. And so he realized through a trip to Africa and then some building in the States that the way to break the cycle of poverty is to build homes and for everyone to have a decent place to live. And once you had that decent foundation and a home that was affordable to you, then you could move on and save for education, save for health care, save for other things, and focus on other areas of your life.
And he was able to find people to help him build these houses?
Oh, right from the very beginning. Yeah, he knew of the generosity of people to give of their time, to give of their funds, to help other people have what they had.
And it was very noble that Jimmy Carter helped him, but some people think Jimmy Carter started it.
Well, he's now become the face of Habitat.
Yeah. How do people find out? How do you get the people to have the homes? Where do they come from? How do they?
That's a
file an
great question.
application?
Yeah, so as soon as we close on a property, so as soon as we close on the Acton property, we open an information session, a series
And
of
you're saying
information.
the house isn't built yet when you start the project?
Exactly.
Oh, right, okay.
And we do that on purpose, right?
Right.
Because folks can apply through the information sessions, and we'll have applications at the office as well. And then the families who would like a Habitat home have to meet 3 criteria. So they have to have an income that's 30 to 60% of area median income. They have to have a need for a house, so the house they're living in can't meet their needs, or the apartment, wherever they're living, and a willingness to partner. So the Habitat partner families will put in 200 to 350 hours helping to build their house.
And there's something really to be said for that, because they've really put their time and their
Exactly,
energy and
yeah.
their hard work in there.
Yeah.
And it's not a free gift.
It's not. There will be a mortgage. It'll be a 0 interest mortgage, so there's no interest. So the payments will stay the same, and it's structured so the family can afford it. So it's structured for the family income.
And you do keep saying family, so it's primarily families that get these
It's
homes.
mostly families, but the house that we're planning in Stowe, it's going to be a duplex, and one of the homes is being built as an aging in place home. So it's a smaller house, a 2-bedroom,
And
an aging in place. So we think for a couple who would like to stay in their home, so it'll
okay.
be fully accessible in case the couple needs that at some point.
Oh, I haven't heard that term, aging in place. Very good. But and it's not always the traditional family. Maybe a single parent, or
Right.
I know you've had some families where there's been a handicapped child, and
Right.
who makes the
And adult
decisions
children.
on who gets the house?
Well, it's through assessing the application. We have a family selection committee with some wonderful volunteers in the area from a number of banks, and we have some realtors, some folks from social service agencies, and it's our family selection committee that makes the decision and recommends it to the board of directors. And if we do end up with multiple families who qualify, then we will have a lottery for the house.
Okay. And if people don't win the lottery, or they aren't selected the first time, they can apply for others?
Oh, absolutely.
It's-
Yeah, the Owan family that's in Air, this was their second time applying for a house.
Brianna, you said there weren't necessarily any challenges that you found as a board member. What contributions do you feel that you can make as a board member that you couldn't make if you weren't on the board?
I do think that, I do have a large financial background, meaning from the credit unions to Village Mortgage, where I am now. And I think it's being able to give some insight. We've had some questions about different types of loans and some different types of repayments and that piece of my background. But I also think maybe some insight as to like if we're trying to market for something or trying to draw in new people. We all have our own spheres of people that we interact with on a daily basis, or maybe not on a daily basis, but monthly or what have you. And I really feel like that's something that I can contribute as far as being able to do that. But also hard work and labor and participating. And I wasn't able to make it to the State House today, but those are the type of things that I would love to be, involved in. So
If you had gone to the State House, you'd be wearing a T-shirt.
I sure would.
And you have some experience raising a large family.
Yes,
That comes in handy too, I'm
it
sure.
sure does.
Can you, I want you both to answer this and give it a little bit of thought, but I didn't warn you. Can you think of a particularly rewarding experience where you put a family in a home and it's like, oh, you just felt so good about being able to do that? I would see what you do as very rewarding. Although I'm not saying it isn't hard work and trying at times.
Oh, it's absolutely
but
rewarding.
you
Yeah.
do a lot of jobs are trying and hard work and you don't see the reward.
Right, right.
So does something come to mind without naming names?
For a particular family, well, for me, what's rewarding every day, as I said before, is just seeing how generous everyone in this region is of giving their time, and then the credit unions, the banks, giving funds to help us build and sponsoring our events and coming to help us. So I think for me, that's particularly rewarding. The families in AIR, so that was the first time that I was involved with the families from the beginning, from their very beginning application until they moved in. So that was really rewarding for me. John Dang, who was one of the heads of the family that moved into one of the homes there, was one of the lost boys of Sudan. So for me, it was just learning about his story and what he'd gone through, and that he was this positive, hardworking, wonderful man who had every reason in the world to be bitter, but is happy and joyful and so happy to be moving into his own home and raising his family in that home, and for his wife Elizabeth to have a nice warm place to live. So I found that particularly rewarding.
He always had a smile.
Yes.
I'm sorry,
yes.
what was-
He always had
has
a smile.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm thinking what you said about Millard Fuller, that if they have the home base, they have confidence they can do more with their
Right,
lives than
right.
maybe rather than the circumstances they may have been
Right.
living in before.
And that's what we're all about now. It's about building security and self-reliance through shelter.
And I've had the privilege of knowing a family who got a Habitat home, and how
A lovely family.
how
yes.
grateful, very grateful, every member of the family. Because when the family gets involved with the build, the children help too.
Right, right.
It's not
16
just-
and over, you can help on the build site, right.
Yeah. Brianna, can you think of any examples that maybe motivated you to want to do more, or?
I think we had the breakfast, and they had introduced the family that was going to be moving into the house, and just the pride that they had and what they were contributing to and what they were a part of. It was a very rewarding thing to see, because they, it's like the same thing with most of the families that you've seen. They're so appreciative and happy, and they worked so hard to be able to get into their home, and it's their home. It's not just a house, you
Right.
know, and that means something. And having that family, nowadays I think there's so many things that we hear that might be negative, and whether it be on the news or Facebook or wherever, and these are the type of stories that we should be sharing.
Right. And this is kind of on the financial side, this question, but when we think of a duplex, we think of renters. But how does that work, that the two families own their half of the duplex?
Correct. So what would happen is there's usually, they have, depending on how they have it built, they usually would say so it's pretty much split up right up the middle. So one side is owned by one owner, one side is owned by the other, and they may have the land split, they may have it as common, it depends on how they have it split up. But yeah, I mean, that's their ownership of their property.
And that's
So-
not that common, other than Habitat homes, I think.
Right, right, yeah.
So in our remaining minutes, we've got pretty much time. What do you want people to know? What do you need help with?
Well, we could use help finishing up the Henry Street home. So any groups who want to come out and install trim, install doors, put hardware up, and do that last punch list before the family moves in at the end of February could really use help there.
Groups or individuals?
Groups or individuals,
And we're
absolutely.
Inside, and we're inside, so don't
Yes,
worry about
yes.
the snow.
But having said that, we also have 3 critical home repairs that are waiting. So if there are folks who are flexible, because as soon as we have a warm day, we're going to run right out. We have a ramp that we need to install very quickly for a gentleman. So if there are people who are more flexible and can just monitor our site, go to ncmhabitat.org and look at the schedule, and we'll be putting up some of the critical home repairs that we'll need help with rather quickly.
Well, what kind of a commitment do volunteers need to make?
So a build day is usually 8:30 to 4. And we can be flexible with that. Usually we'll take up to 8 people a day working on the site. And you can come for one day, you could come for half a day, you can come for multiple days. We do have some gentlemen who come every Thursday and help us every Thursday. So whatever commitment someone can make.
And I also echo what you say about the generous community we live in, because the donations certainly help, and the businesses who give you supplies as well as my financial help.
We have to raise the funds to do our building in our area, so each affiliate is independent, and it's just been amazing. Rollstone Bank and the Rollstone Foundation have really helped us to boost up our critical home repair program. Middlesex Bank has helped us on the Middlesex County side of our service area, so it just is amazing.
Well, we know we get in trouble if we start naming names because there's so many.
I know,
Yeah,
it is. We don't want
yeah.
to leave anyone out.
Right,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
you have had a lot of support
We
from
really, really have.
from the community, and
Yeah.
I say that all the time. We live in a very generous community here. And how about the move, which was several years ago, that the main office was moved to Acton?
Right.
Has that been a benefit? Has that been a detriment in any
Well,
way?
the benefit is we had a very lovely benefactor who's allowing us to have office space for free.
Oh, well, that's
So that's great.
yeah, that's fabulous.
Yeah, it's on the far eastern side of our service area, so it does mean a little more travel to get to some of our builds and the critical home repairs.
But
It's nice to
rent-free
be-
offices, that's, you don't get much
Exactly.
better than that.
Exactly. And then we don't have to spend that money on operating costs. We can put it into building.
Yeah. Brianna, I haven't given you a chance to say a whole lot. What do you want to add before we let you go?
I think it's pretty much the same, thank you to the community. We're always looking for volunteers. If you have questions about how you can contribute, even if it's not it's a non-conventional way, we're always open to suggestions and help.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate how much people do for us and our community. And it's something that, we'd love to be able to continue doing what we're doing. And those, the critical home repairs, which is just, I think that's such an important part of what we do, as well as the home builds. We'd love to be able to see how we can help the community and however we can give back.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's the next fundraiser that's coming up? Is it April?
So you can
There's the
still
one
buy
for-
the art online.
Oh, the art online.
And,
That's what
I
I
didn't
forgot
say
to
that, until February 3rd.
Oh, okay.
So
So get moving, folks.
The auction is from now until February 3rd. We'll have a closing reception.
Now, when you say auction, it's like a silent auction? You know what the previous bid was and you bid more?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And when you sign in, you can have it a pseudonym. You can have a nickname there, so you don't have to have everyone know who's bidding. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of
Yeah.
fun. And so it's online
So that's through
now.
February 3rd. We'll have a
Okay.
closing reception at Six Bridges Gallery on Main Street in Maynard on February 3rd from 4 to 7.
Okay.
And the bidding will end at 6. And then after that, it's Dueling Pianos on April 6th at 7:30, and we'll have tickets online for that next week.
Is the art reception open to anyone?
Oh, absolutely.
That wants to
Yeah.
come?
Yep.
And but everything will be bought by that time. You'll
Well,
have
you
the
can bid
final-
from 4 to 6, so that's when
Oh,
the
you can
final
bid.
bids will be coming in.
That's going to
Yes.
be really exciting.
Yeah, won't it be fun? Yeah.
Yeah, I want to come and see that. See if anybody gets mad
Everyone will
at
be on their
somebody.
phone putting their bids in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I commend you both for the work that you're doing. You benefit a lot of people, and our community is very grateful for what you're doing. Thank you for
you.
sharing with me, and congratulations on being a new board member.
Thank you very much.
And of course, I thank you for watching. Hope you'll be with me again next week when my guests will be from Luck Hillary Amedy and Lindy Hume and Joshua Reynolds are going to be here to tell us what's going on at Luck. And our dear friend, attorney Mark Bedanza, is going to be here to talk about, he's also an author, as I'm sure most of you know. And we're going to talk about his newest book, which is more about politics than sports. Usually he does sports books. I'll be here. It's my job, but I love it. And I hope you'll join me next week. This is Barbara Foster saying good night and God bless you.
Goodbye for now. Come back.